Welcome to this. I can't do it. I just can't. I just don't have. No.
Welcome to the Mystery Cast.
Sorry.
In a world where the Conspiracy Cast becomes the Mystery Cast, three men must talk about the Doomsday Clock.
Must talk about the Doomsday Clock. We have to talk about the Doomsday Clock, people. Welcome to the Mystery Cast, formerly known as the Conspiracy Cast, a show that we record live on twitch.tv/comicstorian every Monday at 2 p.m. Eastern. If you want to support us, you know what to do. Hit that subscribe button. Support us over at Patreon. Buy our stuff if you want. Please buy our stuff. Buy our shirts. Buy this shirt.
No, even if you don't
buy my shirt.
Yes.
I'm wearing it.
And yeah.
Buy this
So,
literal
this
shirt.
is-
Literal shirt.
The one is currently I'm wearing.
I need to close this out, otherwise this is really going to distract me. This is Dan. You guys know Dan. I don't know why I said it like that.
This is Dan.
It's a weird episode. We are tired, just so you guys know.
Yep.
I am Glorp Dan, aka Dan T Producer
Yes.
on Twitter and Instagram,
Yes.
and Dan T Streamer. on
Joining
Twitch.
us from the Glorpverse.
the Glorpverse.
Yes. Glorp Andy? Or are you just Andy?
I'm Glorp Andy.
Oh, it is Glorp Andy.
He's actually
okay.
Andy Glorp.
Andy Glorp.
Andy Glorpin's my
okay.
surname.
Andy Glorpington.
You can find me on Instagram at I am the Andy, and that's it.
He's from Glorp Wimbledon. I don't know. I'm Gary.
Oh my gosh.
You can find me over at too many Twitter at Film Circuit, and Instagram at Northward Films. It's just coffee in there.
Yeah, I don't know.
Is this bourbon in this coffee? It's
A little.
Is there
Well,
coffee
yeah,
in this
yes,
bourbon?
yeah, yeah.
That's what it is.
well, of course, it's the morning.
It's 5
That
a.m.
was-
somewhere.
that was a line from Modern Family last night. Anyway, today we are going to talk about the Doomsday Clock, the real Doomsday Clock, not the comic book series that is taking forever.
No,
It's
it
the
ain't.
other
It
clock.
finally finished.
Yeah, it's the other clock that's also
Yeah.
taking forever.
Yeah, but that's
To
a
hit
good
midnight.
thing.
That's a good thing.
Yeah,
it's
it's
a
very
very
good
We don't
thing.
want it. Yeah.
We kind of what we want.
Uh-huh.
We don't want the Doomsday.
No, we don't.
It's not what
Fun
we
fact, or not so fun fact. Are there fun facts about the Doomsday Clock?
I mean, it depends. Fun
Yeah.
fact, we might all die.
Yeah.
That is a fun fact.
So the Doomsday Clock has only been this close to midnight one time before, in 1953,
Oh, interesting.
when the Soviet Union first tested nuclear weapons.
Oh, yeah. I can see
That makes sense.
Yes. It is now 2 minutes from midnight.
We only
Midnight being the end of the world.
So we
or
have 2
nuclear
minutes
winter.
to go.
2 minutes.
It's not bad.
Okay. Well, here we go.
Well, let's just.
All right. Well, enjoy the next 2 minutes of this podcast.
Yes.
We're all
while
going to
you
sit
can.
silently for a little bit.
So I did some research on the Doomsday Clock, believe it or not, for the show, because that's what we do here. I do research for the show. And
What is going on?
out of all the information I came across, I actually found a 10 fascinating facts about the Doomsday Clock list, believe it or not. And it's much better than jumping between 30 different tabs and,
That's
going
fair.
through from information bit to information bit. So number 10, first, the Doomsday Clock is the faithful brainchild of a group of atomic scientists who worked on the first nuclear weapons. The concept is pretty simple. The closer the minute hand is to midnight, the closer the world is to Armageddon. From Doctor Who episodes to Smashing Pumpkin songs, the Doomsday Clock is the most recognizable and lasting icon of nuclear danger in popular culture. Since 1947, the clock has moved backwards and forwards, from 17 minutes to midnight in 1991 and 2 minutes to midnight in 1953. The minute hand of the clock has been stuck just a midnight snack away from global apocalypse for decades.
You're right. I would totally compare Armageddon with a midnight snack. Because you know what?
Yes.
When
I mean, they both
It's one
keep
or the
you
other.
up, and you know.
I just want to know, so
They both involve canned cheese.
when everything does just like go upside down, everything ends, just the
Everything
world is falling
turns
apart.
pear-shaped. Yep.
So is somebody actually going to take the time to go
Yeah, I
move
know,
the
right?
hand of the
No,
Doomsday
guys,
Clock?
we could. The clock hasn't moved.
Yes. Hang
Because
on.
everybody who did it died.
Yes. Well, I can imagine like the bombs are going off, everything's being destroyed, we're all dying. Hang on.
Hey, Steve.
Okay.
they have the
Yes,
intern do it. They're like, hey,
Yeah.
hey.
Listen, you're going to need to run to the office real fast for me.
You're gonna have to run to the office.
Yeah, just-
there are
it's
nuclear
like-
weapons going off.
just-
I just
I need you to turn the
need to
clock.
do it.
Just do
Yep.
it. All right.
who's gonna know?
Good
you
luck.
will.
I just need you to set the time on my clock. Don't worry what kind of clock it is. But it's midnight now, just so you know.
Yeah, it's at midnight. Yeah. All right, so number 10. This also comes from Interestly.com. Number 10, the Doomsday Clock was nearly a U, that being the letter U. Scientists regularly produced a bulletin about nuclear weaponry, and the clock was originally just an illustration for the cover of the first bulletin. The first time was set at 7 minutes before midnight because the artist Martel Suzanne Schweig Langsdorff liked the look of it.
What a hell of a name.
According to Kenneth Benedict, the bulletin's executive director, the clock was almost a U, the chemical symbol for uranium. Langsdorff realized that a clock better conveyed the urgency of the looming nuclear dangers. She set the original clock at 7 minutes to midnight because she said it looked good to my eye. While it's her good eye. While it's only a virtual clock,
Seems about right.
the Bulletin of Atomic Scientists keep one as a prop of doom. Prop of doom. A prop?
The prop
Of doom. Yeah, the Doomsday U. That doesn't quite sound
Just sounds
like
like you went to a university.
Yes, yeah.
I'm like,
Doomsday U.
Doomsday U.
Yes.
My head went to the cold open of Futurama when he goes, tonight at 11, Doom! But now I'm like,
Yeah.
tonight at midnight.
At midnight.
Doom!
You know, one of the scientists is a fan of Futurama.
Oh, yeah.
And like when it's
yeah.
my turn to move the hand. Oh yes.
Quick question. So
yes.
we're 2 minutes to midnight. What
Yes.
does a minute actually equal out for the Doomsday Clock? I don't actually
It's
know.
arbitrary.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's arbitrary.
So just the
It's-
idea
it's basically
is like
a threat
we're like
level.
really close.
Yes.
It's
Gotcha.
essentially
Whatever the
like
threat level is.
it's a 7 out of 10. It's a 1 out of 10.
Right. So
Like
we're
the closer
Yeah,
to-
yeah,
Yeah.
I didn't know if it was
guess
like
either
they're like, oh
direction.
yeah, I mean that means we're all gonna die in the
Right.
span of like.
Yeah.
Be good information to have.
It is kind
I'd
of
start hoarding
interesting
more
though
stuff.
that they're like, hey, so the span of this, it's like 8 minutes. It's a full clock, but it's
Right.
only 8 minutes till Doomsday because we're a pretty messed up world.
It's funny that it's arbitrary though, because then it's just
It
like
is.
because that's just your perception though.
It
Like
is.
whoever controls the clock.
Yes, it's the perception of the panel of people in
Yeah,
charge
yeah.
of the clock.
Yeah, the Illuminati.
But what
The
if like
Illuminati.
one guy's just like kind of a pessimist and he's like, guys, we're gonna die.
He's a very persuasive pessimist.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, they have the
yeah.
pessimist and the optimist, and
Right.
then they average it out.
I mean, I guess that makes sense. if you had to put what the world is at right now, what would you put? He's like big O zero. Guys look at 10. They're like, damn it. All right, we're gonna need more people on this panel.
Oh man, yeah. I mean, what if one of them like has a really bad day?
That's what I'm saying.
It's a really
like,
awful
yeah,
day. Like, you
I
know
thought-
what?
I thought there would be a
Forget
little
it.
bit more scientific
Yeah.
study to this, but okay.
Number 9, the Doomsday Man. For the first 20 years, one man decided
Jesus.
had his hand on the Doomsday Clock. Eugene Rabinowitsch, 1901 to 1973, a scientist himself, fluent in Russian, and a leader in the international disarmament movement. He was in always... oh, wow. You know... Okay, he was always in communication with scientists and experts within and outside governments all over the world. Based on these discussions, he decided where the clock hand should be set and explained his thinking in the bulletin's pages.
At least he gave you a thought process behind
Right,
it.
yeah,
He
he
wasn't just
explained
like,
it.
yep, we're about like 10 seconds.
Who got elected? Oh, man.
Damn it.
Yeah. After his death, the Bulletin's Science and Security Board took over the responsibility and has since met twice a year to discuss world events and reset the clock as necessary. Also, fun note, the clock has only been reset 21 times.
Really?
Yeah, since 1947.
Wow.
It's actually not many times at all.
So it can legally drink now.
Yes. That's what you want. Your Doomsday Clock inebriated.
Oh, God, it's all drunk
Yes.
now.
So I don't know. Is this you said 7?
Yeah.
Or 2? I
It's
don't
like-
know. I don't know.
Is this my left hand or my right hand? Oh! Okay. The board is made up of scientists and other experts with deep knowledge of nuclear technology and climate science, who often provide expert advice to governments and international agencies. They consult widely with their colleagues across a range of disciplines and also seek the views of the Bulletin's board of sponsors, which includes 16 Nobel laureates. I'd say there's some authority there. It's purely a judgment call by very smart people, many of them scientists. It's an activity of scientists, but it's not necessarily science. No way. Yes.
I'm going to say right now,
Yeah.
there's no way that it's not the Illuminati. Because that would make sense because they would be like, hey, so we're doing nuclear weapons, we'd probably change the clock a little bit. Like,
Well, they also want to mislead the public a little bit.
Yeah.
And like we were discussing earlier, there's like a real doomsday clock somewhere.
Yeah.
That's ticking on its own. And so they're
That is actually ticking.
Yes.
Well, we're not sure what's going to happen at midnight, but we're close.
Yeah. And it doesn't always tick at the same speed. That'd be really scary, by the way. Oh. Tick, tick. You're like, oh no. Oh no.
oh god.
Okay, no, it's better. It's good now.
It's like, so the public thinks it's 2 minutes to midnight. What's the actual time left? 5 seconds. 30 seconds. 30 seconds.
12:30.
Yeah. Oh, so things are really good. It's like, well, yeah, you got to keep
what I
people
want
in
them
panic.
Here's
right?
what I want them to do one day
Yeah, what's
is they
that?
put it at midnight.
Just see what happens.
Just to see what happens.
See like who
freaks out.
Who freaks out. Who does what.
Like they come in one day and they're just like, guys, let's be honest. The world's gone to shit. Just put that thing at midnight.
Yeah.
They're like, no, man. Like,
It's actually one dude that's just like, let's see what happens.
yeah, let's just see what happens.
Like, we don't know.
It's like, hey, John,
Let's
why'd you
just do
move
it.
the clock? Kardashians got renewed.
Midnight.
Yeah. Midnight. Just straight to midnight.
Just straight to midnight.
Forget it. Well, the Kardashians got renewed and Friends didn't get renewed, so midnight.
Oh my goodness.
Number 8, the worst of times. The most dangerous time in global history was 1953. Now, what does that say today when the clock is at the same position it was at 1953?
That the Russians got nukes again?
I guess when the clock was at 2 minutes to midnight, where it is now, the bulletin set the hands at 11:57 in 1949 as the Soviet Union's testing of an atomic bomb signaled our impending doom. But it was in 1953 that scientists warned leaders of the world we were playing with fire. Quote, only a few more swings of the pendulum, and from Moscow to Chicago, atomic explosions will strike midnight for Western civilization. The bulletin warned, then they announced the clock had moved and the world was just 2 minutes from midnight. Only people who read the bulletin would have known that.
That's true.
Just saying.
Yeah.
Not everybody knows that Doomsday Clock is a real thing.
Plus, it also was before like the internet.
Right.
Yeah,
so
yeah,
it's
exactly.
like,
Like
you
two-
had to
what,
actually
200
go
people
outside
that- yeah.
and be like, oh, look at that.
A nuclear weapon.
All right, well, come over here.
Yeah. This is a very British approach. Yeah. Well, it is.
Yeah, I
It's about
suppose
time
so.
for tea.
Yeah. Gotta have a last cup
Yeah.
or 5.
I mean, if the world's ending, like, what are you going to do?
Hey,
Yeah.
I mean,
As diplomatic solutions briefly quelled the threat of a nuclear apocalypse in the late 1950s, the group rolled back the hands of the clock, and by 1963, the planet was considered to be relatively safe at 12 minutes from doom. Oh, man, good old days. Do you remember when we were 12 minutes from doom?
It's an awesome name for a band.
12 minutes from doom. Yes, it
Yeah.
is. Actually, it is. Yeah.
I like it.
Oh, man. The first album is called like The Hand Moves or something.
Well, that's a good name. That's a good name for a title.
I got dibs on the band name. Just calling it right now.
yeah.
That's fair.
You guys steal all my ideas.
No, you steal
I didn't
ideas
steal.
from other people's.
I did.
That's true. I steal ideas from the world.
Yes.
You crowdsource ideas.
I do. That's a good way of putting it. Yeah. Yes. And you just acquire ideas from whatever.
Yep.
Number 7, the best of times. The Doomsday Clock was turned back to the furthest point for midnight in history in 1991, 11:43, when the U.S. and the Soviet Union signed the first Strategic Arms Reduction Treaty. This was the first treaty to provide for deep cuts to the two countries' strategic nuclear weapons arsenals that the public knew about, prompting the bulletin to set the clock hand to 17 minutes to midnight. The bulletin declared the illusion that tens of thousands of nuclear weapons are a guarantor of national security has been stripped away. I think you could have worded that differently. The time they chose, 17 minutes to midnight, requires the minute hand to be moved to a position outside the portion of the clock depicted on the original design. That's positive. The change symbolizes the relief of surviving 45 years without a nuclear war between the United States and the Soviet Union. I'd say that's an accomplishment. The quiet only lasted for so long as the early 2000s ushered in what the bulletins described as a new nuclear age, and the clock began ticking forward again.
Fun thing about the amount that's actually on there, if you did read Doomsday Clock, the comic, that clock is actually accurate, but in Watchmen colors. Like to how it actually looks.
Right, yeah.
Yes. Oh, yeah. Absolutely. You mean there's not a Superman symbol at the top of the clock?
In real life, yes.
In real life, there is.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Okay.
That's when they unleash the Superman and
Superman is on
hope
doom.
it goes well.
Yes.
They're like, either he's gonna save us
Or murder us all.
or murder us.
Could go either way.
I still think like we could refer to the 90s, early 90s, maybe late 80s as like a better time in history, when we weren't 2 minutes to doom.
Sure, yeah.
We were 17 minutes from doom.
You know, if,
Yeah, but everybody
if
was
only
also
I
wearing
could turn
jorts.
back time.
Jorts, and
If I
hot
could find
pants.
a way.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Oh yes, the 80s. Ugh.
The real reason in 91 they actually moved it back was I was born in 91. They're like, oh, this guy's going to do some stuff. Then this year they were like, he did the wrong
It
stuff.
was a prophecy.
The child of prophecy.
He is finally born.
Soon he will be Dan T. Streamer.
No, he was supposed to be Dante producer. What is he doing?
That's the
Yeah.
flip sides to the religion prophecy.
Oh man. Number 6, the clock goes backward. Adjustment of the Doomsday Clock does not come from a single event, no matter how positive or negative. After the attacks of September 11, 2001, the Bulletin did not adjust the clock. But by the next year, the growing threat of terrorism led the U.S. to discuss withdrawing from the Anti-Ballistic Missile Treaty. This, plus global terrorism and the war in Afghanistan, led to the adjustment from 9 minutes up to 7. Similarly, even the Cuban Missile Crisis of 1962 did not cause a shift in the clock. Instead, over the next year,
not?
I have no idea. They were taking the day off, I guess.
Well, yeah, honestly,
yeah,
it was
I mean-
because it was a single event
Right.
Yeah,
that ended.
Exactly. Yeah.
It
Yeah,
wasn't.
it lasted a decent amount of time.
It's basically
No,
not
it was such a...
relatively.
Yeah.
Yeah.
they basically look at global security.
Yeah.
They
Right.
look at global events, and then they determine whether or not. And they only meet
Yeah.
twice a year. So it's not like they just
Yeah,
like
okay.
So I mean,
walk into a
relatively-
building.
and
relatively
Yes.
speaking,
Yeah.
the Cuban the Cuban Missile Crisis did not last that long.
Yeah.
Right.
Relatively speaking. Obviously,
Relatively
at the time,
speaking,
everybody
yeah.
was
Right.
like, well, "We might be going to war."
Right.
Right.
I have a feeling that would have been one where if they did meet, they would have moved it.
Maybe it's
Probably.
possible.
Because
Yeah,
I feel
possibly.
like that was one of those big ones where it's like,
Yes.
Yeah.
that
Yes.
could be catastrophic.
Well, and that's the thing is that when you have world powers, especially the United States, and everything goes south. Let's say everything goes south just with the United States. That has a global impact.
Yep.
And so it would make sense that if
Sure.
something truly tragic happened in the United States, as it has in the past, that could possibly move the clock because that does affect everything,
Right.
and everyone around the world. So. Similarly, even the it led to a new treaty limiting nuclear tests in the atmosphere, and this caused the minute hand to move backwards.
Oh.
Yeah. So let's not blow up nuclear weapons in the atmosphere anymore. So we started in the deserts, then we went to the oceans,
Just
then
take away
we
all
went to
my
the
fun.
atmosphere.
And now people do it underground.
Yeah. Underground.
Looking
I
at
mean-
you, North Korea.
The moon, just send them to the moon.
It's just the Earth. We can't hurt anything down there.
Yeah.
Except the core.
They just want to
That was a joke.
And
send nuclear
Everything.
weapons to the moon. Just be in charge of what if that was the only, I'm
To
just
the moon.
imagining, that would actually be terrible.
is
We
that?
could really mess
no.
up the entire planet if we even knocked the moon
Yeah.
off slightly off
Nah.
course. Let's not send nuclear weapons to the moon.
Nuking Mars. Maybe it'll get better.
Maybe
Who
that's what
knows?
we
Yeah.
did, and that's
Yes,
how it is.
destroy
the way it
the
is.
little possibility of life that could
No,
already
maybe it'll
exist
get
on
better. Think
Mars.
about it.
Yeah.
If anything, it'll mutate the life that's already there. So
Yes.
therefore,
There's a 50-50
There's
chance
a
it could be a
50-50
good
shot here,
mutation.
yeah.
Yes. Little do we know, we've destroyed the next genesis of life on Mars.
or we started it.
Or we
I'm
started
just
it.
saying it could go either way.
I'm just saying that humans can have a tendency to make a mess of everything they touch.
We're really good
It's
at
a very
stuff.
high risk, high
Really-
reward situation.
Oh man! Then the extraterrestrials really won't want to communicate with us because
Starting to nuke another planet.
yeah, like just for fun. So what are they doing? Yeah, what are they doing now? They're nuking Mars.
Why?
Why?
Didn't the Martians do that
They-
to themselves?
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, but then they went to Earth.
It's just like nuking stuff.
Apparently. Number 5, killer robots.
Sure. Terminator.
Dangers. The bulletin considered including killer robots, the escape of lethal pathogens from laboratories, and Ebola and other zoonotic diseases that threaten humanity. In 2014, the bulletin made a statement, quote, "And beyond the nuclear and climate threats lies a spectrum of emerging dangers, from cyber weapons to killer robots, that are further challenging humanity's ability to manage its most advanced technologies."
This is why I don't like my Google Home.
Nope. When they
have one.
announced recently, I think it was a few years ago, that a robot, for the first time ever on its own, said no. It, like, actually declined a command. That was a little alarming to me, because it was out of self-preservation for the robot.
Right.
Yeah. So
Not the robot that was like, I could essentially hold the world hostage because I can hack into the nuclear systems and just
Yes.
hold them up in the air. And you know what?
Blow
If I
up
have
Mars.
a zoo, I'll keep the people I like. Because that was
Oh,
the
wow.
creepy. Have you not seen that video? So there's a creepiest things AI has said.
I've never clicked on it, but I've
It's-
seen that come up in my feed a
If
lot,
you look
yeah.
through it, you're like, oh, we shouldn't allow.
And then it
this
ends
to
with
happen.
JK, but not really.
Wink, wink.
Yeah.
They say
Did
it
that
too
killer
when they do
robot
it.
just wink at me? Why did you have to put killer in front of it?
Yes.
No reason.
There's no reason. Well, let's just say it wasn't my idea.
It's actually not what you mean. It was actually named after John Killer, who made the robot.
It's actually
Yeah,
pronounced
yeah.
killer.
Yeah. And then he died because of the robot.
Well, it's like there was a program recently involving robots and AI, and they actually named it Skynet.
Why?
Why would you do that? Why would you just
Because
self-fulfill
then
your
all
own
it has
prophecy?
to do is get on
Yeah.
the internet and watch one of its movies and like,
That's what I'm supposed to do.
That makes
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah, so we gave the AI a movie to analyze. We gave it Terminator, because that was a good idea. And then we gave it iRobot. And then we gave it 2001: A Space Odyssey.
Why are you letting it watch all these movies? I mean, we didn't think it got hurt anything.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Then we gave it Sharknado.
We didn't think the killer robots could hurt anything.
Yeah, didn't think the killer robots. Oh, the last words of mankind.
Told you it's pronounced killer.
The wonderfully named campaign to stop killer robots was launched in April 2013 with the objective of achieving a ban on the development, production, and deployment of lethal autonomous weapons. Yeah. Billionaire entrepreneur Elon Musk, of course, everything comes back to Elon Musk, physicist Stephen Hawking, and other tech luminaries have... I want to be called a tech luminary.
Do something tech luminarious.
Okay. Have
Just start
signed...
calling yourself that.
I'll develop a new light bulb.
one
Have
will,
signed an open letter warning against the dangers of starting a global arms race of artificial intelligence. When you put it that way,
Yeah.
a global arms race of artificial intelligence, yes, I would say that threatens things.
Didn't Elon Musk buy an AI company so that he could monitor
He
it?
invested in DeepMind, Google's DeepMind project,
Right.
a lot of money so
Yeah.
that he could keep an eye on it. Yes.
Thank you, Elon.
Yes. Thank you. Yeah. It's like, Elon, what are you doing here? Oh,
killer
nothing.
robots.
Puts a USB stick in. Okay, I'm done. I'll see you all later.
Here's your couple billion. Thanks for letting me in.
Thanks for letting me in. Yep.
See you
Yep.
guys
He
later.
either stole it or planted a virus.
Either way.
I don't know. Thanks for the money.
Fishy.
Yeah. So you guys want to go buy some PlayStations? Technology. Okay, so unless the United Nations, I don't know, tech geeks enjoy video games. I don't know. I don't know where I was going with that. Unless the United Nations supports a ban on weapons that humans have no meaningful control over. The risks, the signatories say, could be far greater than those posed by nuclear weapons. Yeah, I mean, AI could be worse than nuclear weapons.
Oh, definitely, because they could
Yeah.
access them.
Yes. Well, that's true too.
I mean, that is the thing is it's like nuclear weapons, it requires someone to do something. AI, they can hijack things and
Yes.
or at least I would assume.
Can or have.
Are the Illuminati killer robots?
I think you need to be on the panel for the Doomsday Clock. Your reactions are just perfect for like.
That'd be pretty funny.
Uh,
Sounds like I got a new job, guys.
I got a new job.
What are you
wa-
doing? I move a minute hand
Yes. Yeah.
on this clock. It's kind of a big deal. Whatever.
Dan, we need you to move it 1 minute forward. He's like, okay.
It's like,
Oh no!
They did tell me, oh, no, hey, nothing happened. Oh, it's just a big cardboard clock. Cool.
oh, I broke it off.
Yeah.
Oh.
I'd love to see two guys or ladies arguing over the Doomsday Clock. Well, I think we should move it forward. I think we should move it back. You know what? I don't know.
They're like, you're right. Can you go get me a coffee?
Yes. Every time you walk in, it's just moved. Oh, climate change. After debating it for a decade, we're on number 4 now. Just so you know, I'm 100% sure this is coffee. The bulletin added climate change into the machinations of the clock in 2008. Specifically, they added the Earth-threatening dangers posed by climate change and rapid developments in the life sciences and other emerging technologies. As the clock was moved 2 minutes closer to midnight, the bulletin stated, we foresee great perils if governments and society do not take action now to render nuclear weapons obsolete and prevent further climate change. Always with the nuclear weapons. Yeah.
They are my least favorite of the weapons.
Yes.
Next is killer robots.
True.
Then Andy.
That's fair.
Yeah. Anyway, climate change moves the hands of the clock forward. Yep.
I mean, it makes sense because climate change.
Yeah.
It is there's no going back at a certain point.
When you hit a certain point.
Right.
Yeah.
Which
Yeah,
is going to be in the next 20 years or so.
Yep. If we keep moving in the
If we
direction
keep going
we're
in the
moving,
direction we are currently going,
yes.
we're going to be screwed.
It's all right. We're about to blow up Mars. We'll just go live there after we blow it up for some reason.
After the moon.
Yeah.
Yes. Let's blow up Mars. Let's start a petition to blow up Mars.
Mars.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. Why not? People start petitions for everything.
Martians down a peg.
They're like, why do you want to do it? I just don't trust that planet.
Something about it pisses
Something
me
about
off.
it.
So anyway, please sign my petition.
You just look up to the sky.
Something about it.
All right. Just please retweet. Okay, thank
Please
you.
retweet. Yes, nuke Mars. That's gonna be our next T-shirt. This is a really creepy picture of hands pressed up against a clock. I hope that's not the real Doomsday Clock. That would be creepy.
No, what's creepier is when the hands start to move.
Yes.
Oh, God.
The meaning of midnight. Since the dawn of the nuclear age, midnight has stood for nuclear annihilation, but things got more complicated in 2007 when Doomsday was expanded to include non-nuclear disasters such as irreversible climate change. The bulletin's stated reason was to enable the clock to be used to address the urgency of acting sooner on climate rather than later. And the clock was advanced 2 minutes from 7 to 5 minutes before midnight. It was a move that was given high publicity by renowned cosmologist and bulletin board member Stephen Hawking, who said, as citizens of the world, we have a duty to alert the public to the unnecessary risks that we live with every day, and to the perils we foresee if governments and societies do not take action now to render nuclear weapons obsolete. Oh, so that was him being quoted earlier. And to prevent further climate change. So, Stephen Hawking. Yep. I just don't know if at what point do you move the clock back? Because how do you gauge that climate change is being reversed? I mean, it would take a long time. It would take a very long time to gauge that.
It would take a lot of time, but I believe there are also a lot of stations in the world that track it and calculate things every single day.
Yeah.
And I have a feeling it's something related to that if they had a chart and then something started decreasing in levels.
Yeah.
It's kind of like how they were able to detect that the ozone layer is repairing itself.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And it's
I think a lot of that
they're
came down
capable
to
of that. They're capable of checking all the other stuff.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. I remember when I was a kid in the 90s, the ozone layer was that was all you heard about when it came to climate change. It was global warming, and actually climate change wasn't necessarily a term people used.
No, it was global
warming.
I was going to say it was always global warming.
Yeah, it was global warming.
And then it was when people were like, but it's not getting hot, that they were like, maybe we should change it. Because it's kind of a
some
big
areas got
deal,
cold,
but
some areas
people
got
need
colder.
to,
Yeah,
because there were a lot of people where they're like, how can global warming be a thing if I've got 6 feet of snow?
Yeah. It's anyway.
And it's like,
no. That's a perfectly logical argument.
Yes.
one specific location is cold.
Yeah.
Global warming.
Clearly, it's fake.
15 degrees today.
There's someone out there that's like, can we speed it up? I like it when it's at least 70 every day.
I like my winters to be like
that's way too
60,
hot.
65.
60 degrees is like perfect temperature for me.
Well,
60.
if we work on global warming a little bit more,
No,
and by that I mean making it warmer.
No.
No, we'll hit that.
That means
nice
summer
period.
would be like 107 degrees
Well, we
all the time.
Everyone would be
All the
Phoenix,
way.
Arizona.
You can't have it all the way around. There's no way to make it 60, 65 degrees all year round.
That's true. Unless we
I don't
put
know
a
how to
giant
pollute the-
ice cube.
Actually,
in the
I was
If
going to
we
say, I don't know how to
actually-
pollute the world
okay.
to that exact point.
If we nuke Mars,
Okay, I'm with you. I'm already on board.
that's all I got so far.
I like it.
Hold on,
Yeah.
what
Yeah,
show
yeah.
was it where they were like, yeah, so we had global warming, but then the nuclear winter canceled it out.
I think that was Futurama. I'm pretty
Nuclear
sure. yeah.
winter cancer. Yeah, but there are actually a lot of theories, or some very popular theories that basically state that a lot of what we're seeing in climate change is actually due to our sun going through its own fluctuations. And once
Sure.
that calms down, things will actually start cooling off again.
Yeah.
because
So nuke the
we almost nuke the sun.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah, because that'll do something.
Yeah.
Actually, I don't want to find out what that would do. Because global cooling was actually a concern for decades. And in fact, it even was like back in the 1500s, things got colder. And so we are seeing these fluctuations throughout history. Now, the concern is they're steeper and more dramatic now than they've ever been.
There's now another factor
exactly.
affecting
It's
from our side
anthropogenic.
as well
Yes,
as that
exactly.
side.
Yeah, there's natural climate change, which happens all the time over hundreds of thousands of years. But then there's anthropogenic climate change, which is the issue. It's, yes, the climate change is on its own, but are we pushing it in the wrong direction?
Right.
Yeah.
So nuke the sun.
Nuke the sun and
Got
Mars.
it. And Mars.
Yeah. I think you should have access to all the nukes.
I should.
Just like a big nuke gun that you can just point anywhere.
I got a gun that
Alright.
shoots smaller nukes at you.
You know what? Instead of having a Nuke Mars shirt, we should just
Yes.
have Nuke and then like an underline for like ad libs and stuff.
Sure.
So you just put whatever you want there.
Yeah.
What if it's nuke Mars and you see like a nuke going off on Mars and then an arrow pointing to Pluto that says, "You're next."
That's good.
Oh, man.
Goodness.
Number 2, clock is stuck. The hands of the Doomsday Clock, that's what it says. The hands of the Doomsday Clock were moved to 3 minutes before midnight on January 22nd, 2015, marking the direct setting of the clock since 1983, or diarist setting of the clock since 1983 at the height of the Cold War. Last year's Doomsday Clock was stuck at 3 minutes to midnight due to, when this was written, due to unchecked climate change and global nuclear weapons modernizations, so updates to nuclear weapon technology, and outsized nuclear weapons arsenals, all of which apparently posed, quote, an extraordinary and undeniable threat to the continued existence of humanity.
Quick question.
you
When
wanna-
was this written?
This was written in, I'm going to guess 2016.
Okay.
Yep. So not that long ago.
Right. It was. I'm
The information
very
is still
curious,
accurate, yeah.
Like when the most recent change to the clock was.
Actually, I can tell you right now. It was closer than ever. It is 100 seconds to midnight. 2020 Doomsday Clock statement.
So it was literally the
yes.
beginning of this year.
Yes.
Okay.
It was. Yep.
Okay.
Leader. Yeah. So January 23rd, 2020. So just a couple days ago.
So 4 days ago.
Fun.
All right.
Let's get back to our list.
Yes.
The decision not to move the hands of the clock in 2016 is not good news. Well,
It didn't
it's
get
like
any worse.
cup is half full.
Yeah.
Right.
News. Yeah. It didn't get worse. That's
it
true.
didn't get worse.
Right.
Yeah.
It didn't get better.
The decision not to move the hands of the clock in 2016 is not good news. Lawrence Krauss, who chairs the Bulletin's board of sponsors, said in announcing the new clock setting, they acknowledged the gathering threats posed to the world order over the last years by Islamic State and cyber warfare. The scientists noted that the 11:57 p.m. setting was one of the worst since the clock's inception. Really? So you decide not to move the clock, and it's the what? I'd hate to say it, but some human being's logic is flawed. What? I think you're doing okay if for the past like 20 years you've been moving the clock up, and then you hit a point where you're like, you know what? We don't need to move the clock.
Right.
I think that's
to me,
progress.
That would be, yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. It didn't get worse.
It didn't get worse.
I could see it being a bad thing because it raises questions of, do we know the state of the world? Do we know if things are getting better? Do we know if things are getting worse? And that lack
depends,
of knowledge
yes.
on what's going
Right.
on is kind of a dangerous thing because for all we know, it could be better.
Right.
But it could be much worse
Now-
just because we aren't aware of certain countries doing certain things.
Yep.
Because this was before all of the North Korean
I think it was right around
tests.
then. It was right around then. Yeah.
Because, I mean, that could be one of those ones where they're like, we don't fully know if they are, but if they are, we should change it, but we don't know. And
Right.
I think that's a very dangerous thing because knowledge is power.
Yes, it is. Thank you. The more you, I was gonna say, the more you know. And it is interesting because you could look at a whole slew of statistics and come to the conclusion that the world is getting better. But then you could look at another slew of statistics and say, oh no, the world's getting worse. I think that's probably one of the reasons why they didn't move it. It's like, we don't know. Like, is it getting better? That's a good point. Like, is it getting better? Is it getting worse? Because there are a lot of statistics that basically state that, things like life-threatening crime is on the downturn in a lot of ways. Like crime in general is on the downturn. I think literacy rates are going up. You look at some of those numbers like, oh, great, yeah, things are getting better. And then you look at other numbers like, oh, there's a giant trash pile in the middle of the ocean that's just growing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, thoughts, Mandy?
Nothing specific. No,
Still thinking about
honestly.
nuking Mars. Yeah.
I've moved on.
I've moved on from this world.
Oh, he's like, now I'm going to nuke Venus.
Nah. I'm gonna nuke Uranus.
He actually means your butt. Oh, number one.
I don't mean the planet.
Reset 21 times. Since its creation at the dawn of the nuclear age, the clock has been reset 21 times. The first change was in 1949 after the Soviet Union successfully tested its first, you said 1953 earlier, just saying. Reset the clock from 7 minutes to midnight to 3 minutes to midnight.
A Doomsday watch.
Well, no, this is the reset after that 53.
Yes.
Like the first reset since they started in 53 is...
the first change was in 1949. Earlier they said... they said after the Soviet Union successfully tested the first time. They said that about 1953 as well.
They did, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what they're trying
Make
to
up your mind, damn you.
The bulletin has moved the clock hand away from midnight almost as often as it has moved it toward midnight, and as often during Republican administrations in the United States as during Democratic ones. Okay, so it's equal. Yeah. The only time that it ever moved as close as 2 minutes to midnight was 1953. That was after the United States and Soviet Union both tested fusion weapons or H-bombs within 9 months of one another. Okay. Maybe I shouldn't be in politics. Maybe I shouldn't be, influencing the events of the world because, I don't know. You have two countries who have nuclear weapons already testing their own bombs. Yeah. Like, is that a surprise that they're testing them?
I mean, it's more the risk of if they're testing it so close to each other, the arms race.
True.
We saw them do this. Let's do it better.
Yep.
And then
Let's
they
do
do
it
it.
bigger.
They're like,
Let's
well,
do it
they
bigger.
did that
Yeah.
recently.
Yeah.
If they can do that quickly, we can do it too. And then it starts the arms race.
Right.
Then you get killer robot arm race. And
Yes.
then
Do the killer robots have arms?
And do they race?
And do they race with them?
I don't know. That should be a thing. Arms race.
the mystery.
It's like a 3-footed race when you tie your legs together.
Sure, yeah.
But it's arms.
But it's arms.
Yes.
Everybody has to run on handstands.
So this is a list of every time the clock has been moved. I'm sure everybody's wondering, like, okay, when was it moved? Why was it moved? And,
How?
so the 21 times, yes. And how? I think with a hand.
That makes sense.
Wait, hold on. Was it changed 21 times or reset 21 times?
No, just adjusted 21 times.
Adjusted.
Oh, okay. The
That's
way
what they
you
mean by it.
phrased
That's
it
what they
earlier
mean
made
by
it sound like there was like
Yeah.
a base.
No,
and that
yeah,
we
yeah,
reached a point where it's
Yeah.
like, okay, just go back to the 15.
No. It's
like quarter till.
Yeah. No.
It's quarter till Doomsday.
I mean, we got like a whole hour till Doomsday. It's not that bad.
Yeah. 1947, the initial setting of the Doomsday Clock, 7 minutes to midnight.
Because it looked good.
Because it looked good.
Yeah.
It was
Yep.
aesthetically pleasing.
Yeah.
They were like, if we're
solid.
going to have a Doomsday, let's make it look good at
Yeah.
least.
Yeah.
I'm with.
An
Makes sense.
uneven number. 1949, the Soviet Union tests its first atomic bomb. Excuse me.
I wonder if it was because of the lucky number 7.
I don't know.
Superstition.
The
plays a
RDS-1
fact in a lot of things.
officially started the nuclear arms race. 1953, the United States tests, so 2 minutes to midnight, tests its first, that's a huge, big jump, actually, from 7, let's see, how many years? Just in like 6 years, we went from 7 minutes to midnight to 2. The United States tests its first thermonuclear device in November 1952 as a part of Operation Ivy. Before the Soviet Union, why'd you name your daughter Ivy? Well, before the Soviet Union follows suit in August. This remained the clock's closest approach to midnight, tied in 2018 until 2020. 1960, 7 minutes to midnight. Okay. In response to a perception of increased scientific cooperation and public understanding of the dangers of nuclear weapons, as well as political actions taken to avoid massive retaliation, the United States and Soviet Union cooperate and avoid direct confrontation and regional conflicts such as the 1956 Suez Crisis. 1963, 12 minutes to midnight. The world is getting better. The United States and the Soviet Union signed the Partial Test Ban Treaty, limiting... What?
Sorry. Then Austin Powers. Whoop-de-doo, Basil.
Limiting atmospheric nuclear testing. 1968. So... 5 years later, we jump all the way back up to 7 minutes to midnight. The involvement of the United States in the Vietnam War intensifies. The Indo-Pakistani War of 1965 takes place, and the Six-Day War occurs in 1967. France and China, two nations which have not signed the Partial Test Ban Treaty, acquire and test nuclear weapons. The 1960 Gerbois Biu and the 1964 596. I don't know what that means, respectively, to assert themselves as global players in the nuclear arms race. 1969. Can you imagine being a board member? Nice.
Sorry.
Can you imagine being a board member and your wife comes home, or your partner or whatever, and like, what are you doing? It's like, oh, I'm assessing man's doom. Yeah, just doing some reading, a
I
little
was
light
in the office
reading.
today. Honestly, it was a little down.
It's a little down.
Why? Because we're all doomed. So what's for dinner?
So it's for dinner. Oh, man. 1969. Every nation in the world,
Nice.
with the notable exceptions of India, Israel, and Pakistan, signs the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty. 1972, 12 minutes to midnight. So that last one was 10 minutes to midnight. Okay, so things are getting better again. The United States and Soviet Union signed the first Strategic Arms Limitation Treaty, SALT I, and the Anti-Ballistic Missile ABM Treaty. 1974, 9 minutes to midnight. India tests a nuclear device. I'm noticing a theme.
All of these are literally someone gets a nuke, so we go closer.
Someone
Treaty.
signs a treaty. Yeah, we go away.
nuke.
Hang on.
Treaty.
I need to
Nuke
confirm something.
treaty.
Okay. India tests a nuclear device called Smiling Buddha. Was
Hell
the
yeah.
assigned code name of India's first successful nuclear bomb test on May 18th, 1974. The bomb was detonated on the Army base Pokhran Test Range, PTR, in Rajasthan by the Indian Army under the supervision of several key Indian generals. What should we call our nuclear weapon?
I bet when Buddha
Smiling.
passed away, he was probably like, I really hope they name a nuke after me.
Right?
Oh,
Sure, yeah.
man. Smiling Buddha.
Yeah, it's smiling
If I ever
too.
get a nuke, let's be honest, when I get a nuke, I'm going to name it Waving Jesus.
Waving Jesus, and you're going to nuke Mars.
God, it's Waving Jesus.
Waving Jesus, smiling Buddha.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
I like it.
Contemplative Socrates. I don't know. Whatever.
One of them just gonna be
Like-
called Confucius Says,
Confucius says,
and then ... Boom.
boom.
And then I'm going to nuke
And
Mars.
then, and then there's another one, boom shakalaka.
Sure, yeah.
Just go.
And then I'm
Boom
going to
shakalaka.
nuke Mars.
You're going to nuke
And
Mars.
then we're-
Well, we all know what
oh goodness.
Tesla would have called his His nuclear weapon.
The nuclear off switch.
The nuclear off switch, the peace bomb,
The cyber bomb.
cyber bomb.
It was another constipation device because you would,
I just
crap
sure
yourself
you see
when
it,
you
would
saw
crap
a
it.
nuke.
Yeah.
Maybe that's the effect of nuking Mars. The shock wave hits the Earth and everyone just clears
the
their
And
brown
everyone's
note.
just like,
The
oh,
brown
I'm so
noise.
relieved.
Oh, wow.
I didn't realize I was so angry because of that.
I can't get over that. Smiling Buddha.
God.
Okay, 1980, 7 minutes to midnight. Unforeseeable end to deadlock in American-Soviet talks as the Soviet-Afghan war begins. As a result of the war, the U.S. Senate refuses to ratify the SALT II agreement. Okay,
Yeah.
things are getting testy. 1981, 4 minutes to midnight. The clock is adjusted in early 1981. The Soviet war in Afghanistan toughens. The U.S. Nuclear posture. U.S. President Jimmy Carter withdraws the United States from the 1980 Summer Olympic Games in Moscow. The Carter administration considers ways in which the United States could win a nuclear war. Wow, I don't want to be a part of that committee either. So, guys, we need to figure out how we can win
One guy's
a
like,
nuclear war.
we click our button faster. Oh, I like that one. I like that one. Okay, we'll keep that.
Move
on the
from a
side.
2-key system to a 1-key system. And we
No
give it-
keys. You
we
just
give it.
flick a switch.
You know what? Let's activate Siri
You
with
got
it.
a little
and it's-
excited about that.
Yeah, no keys.
Okay,
Get rid of the
Siri.
keys.
Oh,
Launch nuclear
man.
weapons.
What?
Yeah.
I said just attach Siri to it or Alexa. You know what?
Whatever.
Alexa,
I'm not
launch
brand
nuclear-
specific. I'm not brand specific.
Oh man!
But like instead of a
Yeah.
12-digit
Cortana.
code, 4-digit code.
Forge
You know what? Screw it. Just one.
So what's your code? It's my
Just-
anniversary.
It's
Oh
like,
man!
It's our anniversary. So what's the code?
So what's the code? Yes, I love that. It's our anniversary. I feel like a terrible friend now because I don't know what it is. Or like it's my birthday. Oh. Oh wait, that could go several ways. Year or no month? No. Yeah,
Just
too
year.
late.
19.
69.
All right.
It's just 1969. Nice.
It's like, but you weren't born in '69. I wish I was. Ronald Reagan becomes president of the United States, scraps further arms reduction talks with the Soviet Union, and argues that the only way to end the Cold War is to win it. Tensions between the United States and the Soviet Union contribute to the danger of nuclear annihilation.
I like to point out the year Ben was born, it actually went backwards. Or it went closer to Doomsday, just saying.
Okay. 1982? 1984. All right, 3 minutes. Actually, it did move closer to midnight.
for me. I'm just saying.
And moved a whole minute closer the year Ben
I'm just
was born.
saying.
Further escalation of the tensions between the United States and the Soviet Union over the birth of Benny Potter. That's- with the
That would be awesome if that's what it
with the
said.
ongoing Soviet-Afghan, like, do you know what he'll do
This is Wikipedia, right?
when he grows up?
You can adjust.
Yes. With the ongoing Soviet-Afghan war intensifying, the Cold War, U.S. Pershing 2 medium-range ballistic missile and cruise missiles are deployed in Western Europe. Ronald Reagan pushes to win the Cold War by intensifying the arms race between the superpowers. The Soviet Union and its allies, except Romania, boycott the 1984 Olympic Games. Man, with the Olympics. In Los Angeles, as a response to the U.S.-led boycott in 1980. Okay.
That'll teach you.
That'll teach you. We're not going to play your games. Why did I say it like that?
It sounded a little John Wayne-ish.
Yeah. 1988, 6 minutes to midnight. In December 1987, the clock is moved back 3 minutes as the United States and the Soviet Union sign the Intermediate Range Nuclear Forces Treaty. Man, we've signed so many treaties. To eliminate intermediate range nuclear missiles and their relations improve.
I like how it seems like they had to make new treaties for different missiles because there was like a loophole in the
Yeah.
other treaties. Where it's like, well, I
Yeah.
can still have these ones, right?
Right, yeah. They
No.
just start developing new weapons.
yeah.
Yeah.
They're
Technically,
like,
it doesn't
well,
count.
this is a nuclear device, not a nuclear weapon.
Yes.
So, I mean,
Yes.
you didn't say no devices.
This is a nuclear vehicle that moves through the air
At rapid speeds.
at rapid speeds. And when it impacts something, it has a tendency to blow up 100% of the time. But it's a vehicle carrying...
So you're saying it explodes? No, no, no.
No, no, no.
What it does is upon impact, it expands exponentially.
Very quickly and with force. Nuclear force. but we've
Yeah,
classified it as a vehicle. So
we're gonna need to make a new treaty for that. Damn it,
come on,
guys! They made another treaty. Make something else up.
make something else up. Nuclear birds. No.
Well, birds aren't
frightening.
real, so-
Birds. Well, that's because they're nuclear weapons.
Yeah, I mean, you start loading down those
Nuclear
surveillance
birds.
drones with nukes,
Yeah.
little tiny nukes.
Yeah. 1991. Oh, wait, no. 1990, 10 minutes to midnight, the fall of the Berlin Wall and the Iron Curtain, along with the reunification of Germany, meant that the Cold War is nearing its end. 1991, 17 minutes to midnight. The United States and Soviet Union signed the first strategic arms reduction treaty, START 1, and the Soviet Union dissolves on December 26th. This is the farthest for midnight the clock has ever been since its inception, or has been since its inception. Good time to be alive. 1995, 14 minutes to midnight.
Damn it.
Global military spending continues at Cold War levels amid concerns about post-Soviet nuclear proliferation of weapons and brain power. Interesting. They're teaching their people.
Getting smarter. Move the clock.
Move the clock. 1998, the year Metal Gear Solid came out. 9 minutes to midnight. Both India, Pokhran 2, and Pakistan, Chagai 1, test nuclear weapons in a tit-for-tat show of aggression. Gross. What?
Nice.
The United States and Russia run into difficulties and further reducing stockpiles. What kind of difficulties?
We don't want to
Like-
get rid of them.
Yeah, like where'd our nukes go? There were 4 here
Listen,
last night.
we would get rid of them. We just gotta find them all.
That's what you want to hear.
My head went to because it went with tits for tats. I was like, well, we got our nuclear tits and you got your nuclear tats, right?
Just let's not fly through the air.
What the hell?
You know what? I'm just going to say, for probably one of the most serious kind of death-involved
Yeah, sure.
topics,
Yeah,
this is
yeah,
a
yeah.
very lighthearted discussion.
Oh yes. Well, you got to have a light heart about the Doomsday.
yeah,
you know,
you really
about
do.
I
doom.
always do.
Yeah. Keep your tea
Give
at
me
hand,
nuclear tea.
Dan. What?
He said with their nuclear tits.
And they're nuclear
I think that was
I'm
an
just
I think that
saying,
was an
Blue ain't
80s
the only one
80s
smiling now.
Yeah, I mean,
man.
it's kind of like Austin Powers, you know, the machine gun.
Yes. Oh,
they
yeah.
just expanded upon that.
Oh, yeah.
Genius.
2002, 7 minutes to midnight. Little progress on global nuclear disarmament. Go figure. The United States rejects a series of arms control treaties and announces its intentions to withdraw from the Anti-Ballistic Missile Treaty and concerns about the possibility of a nuclear terrorist attack due to the amount of weapon-grade nuclear materials that are unsecured and unaccounted for worldwide. That's pretty frightening when you have, materials that you can make nuclear weapons with,
Sure.
just unaccounted for. Like
Yeah.
you said, like
Yeah.
we just can't find them.
Yeah, I mean, we'll get rid of them.
Hey, you brought
as soon
the
as
nuke,
we
right?
find them all.
Yeah.
I thought you had it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
man.
You know that
Might have
truckload
left it
of
on
yeah.
the bus.
You know that might have left it on the bus. You got a kid sitting there like, what is this? Oh man. So you know that uranium you had in your truck? Yeah. Yeah.
I'm sure it'll be fine.
It'll be fine.
Border Patrol.
I was driving and I hit a bump
Bounce out the window.
and bounced out the window.
No
I-
idea where it was.
It was bad traffic, so I didn't pull over to pick it up. 2007, 5 minutes to midnight. North Korea tests a nuclear weapon in October 2006. Iran's nuclear ambitions, a renewed American emphasis on the military utility of nuclear weapons, the failure to adequately secure nuclear materials, and the continued presence of some 26,000 nuclear weapons in the United States and Russia. After assessing the dangers posed to civilization, climate change was added to the prospect of nuclear annihilation as the greatest threat to humankind. Because that's what we needed, another problem. 2010, 6 minutes to
Oh, man,
midnight.
it was already there. It just
Yeah,
wasn't on
true.
the clock.
Yeah, that's true, yeah.
It's not like they made up a new one.
I know.
All right, give us a second doomsday clock.
Yeah, give us...
All right, it's 5 till. On which one? On which one? The left one? My left or your left? Okay.
Just put them both there.
It's 2010, 6 minutes to midnight. Worldwide cooperation. So we moved back to minute to reduce nuclear arsenals and limit the effects of climate change. The new START agreement is ratified by both the United States and Russia, and more negotiations for further reductions in the American and Russian nuclear arsenal are already planned. The 2009 United Nations Climate Change Conference in Copenhagen results in the developing and industrialized countries agreeing to take responsibility for carbon emissions and to limit global temperature rise to 2 degrees Celsius.
See, we were solid right there.
Doing
Well,
all
not
right.
us. We pulled out.
Yeah, well.
2 years later,
Damn it.
we go back to 5 minutes to midnight. And the reason is lack of global political action to address global climate change. Yeah, guys, it didn't work. Nuclear weapons stockpiles, the potential for regional nuclear conflict, and nuclear power safety. 2015. 3 minutes to midnight. Concerns and continued lack of global political action to address global climate change, the modernization of nuclear weapons in the United States and Russia, and the problem of nuclear waste. Modernization of nuclear weapons. So, yeah. It's like, well, yeah, I don't know. Modernization. I mean, like,
Upgrade the
we could just get
systems.
it there faster. Like, yes,
Yeah, I mean, basically, yeah, that's
yeah.
exactly
That
what it
and,
is,
the
actually.
compaction.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Make
smaller,
it
fast,
because
smaller,
I mean,
faster.
if it's small and fast, people don't know what it is.
Yeah.
They're like, "There's no way. It's
Yeah.
too small."
That's too small. 2017, 2.5 minutes to midnight. United States President Donald Trump's comments over nuclear weapons, the threat of a renewed arms race between the U.S. and Russia, and the expressed disbelief in the scientific concern or consensus over climate change by the Trump administration. So basically, you could have just said Trump administration,
Yeah.
and that would have been why they moved it.
Trump
This
was elected. Go ahead and move the clock.
Yeah.
this is the first use of a fraction in the time.
With DEFCON, they brought him in and they were like, "Well, clearly it's DEFCON orange now."
Yeah, obviously.
Obviously.
Oh, man. 2018, 2 minutes. 2 minutes to midnight. The failure of the world leaders to dealing with looming threats of nuclear war and climate change. This is the clock's second closest approach to midnight, matching that of 1953. In 2019, the bulletin reaffirmed the 2 minutes to midnight time, citing continuing climate change and Trump's administration's abandonment of the U.S. efforts to lead the world to decarbonization, U.S. withdrawal from Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action, and Intermediate Range Nuclear Forces Treaty, U.S. and Russian nuclear modernization efforts, information warfare, threats, and other dangers from disruptive technologies such as synthetic biology. Didn't realize that was a threat. Artificial
Well,
intelligence.
it causes zombieism
That's true.
That's true.
And if I make clones, then the clones rise up
and then become zombies.
and become zombies.
Zombie clones.
Zombie clones. That's the most frightening thing.
I
Besides
mean,
zombie
so long as
clone
you're like
killer
the
robots.
leader of them.
That is true.
Yeah. Artificial
They always
intelligence
rebel.
and cyber warfare. The list of things threatening the Earth just gets bigger and bigger and bigger. 2020, 1 2/3 minutes to midnight. The failure of the world leaders
Like
to
before,
deal.
they're like, it's 5, it's 3, it's a... All right, minute and a half.
Nobody wants
All
to
right,
hit midnight.
20
I think that's what it is.
seconds.
Like,
They're like, what do we do? It's there. I don't know what else to say. I mean, we should be all dead, right? Anyone? What do we do?
the failure of world leaders. This is this year. We haven't been in this year very long now. The failure of world leaders to deal with increasingly likely threats of nuclear war, such as the end of the Intermediate Range Nuclear Forces Treaty (INF), INF, between the United States and Russia, as well as increased tensions between the U.S. and Iran, and the continued failure to combat climate change. We are really bad at combating climate change.
I was
This
gonna
is
say that's just been like the entire, and we also didn't do climate change.
It's just
in case-
way
we
too
didn't
many
do
people...
climate change.
in case anyone was wondering, we still haven't done it.
Yeah, too many people don't believe it's real and they are idiots.
or they just don't care. Even if they do believe it's real, they
And
just don't
they
care.
are also idiots.
This is the clock's closest
Listen, I won't
approach.
be here, so
The thing for the
Yes,
record that
absolutely.
annoys
What?
me the
Yeah.
most about that are
Yeah.
the people that are like, well, I'll be dead, so why should I care?
I agree.
well, I mean, to
And
be
it's
fair,
like-
I'll be dead. Why should I care?
It's like
You care for other
well,
people.
because
I don't
it's
have
a
other people.
good thing to do.
I mean, I'll have already
Yeah.
left the planet to nuke Mars at this point.
That's true.
So
That's true.
Something about
This
it
is the
pisses me
clock's
off.
closest approach to midnight. You just constantly look up at the sky.
I don't trust that crater.
Yeah, this is the clock's closest approach to midnight, exceeding that of 1953 and 2018. Okay.
I don't know why they have to specify that it's closer when they say it's the closest it's been.
No, it's
compared to you
Yeah.
know literally every
Which is
other
closer.
year.
Did you know it's closer?
Yeah.
Oh, so it's closer.
It's closer.
By the way,
Yeah. I think,
Closer.
yeah, it's
I'm closer to nuking Mars than I've ever been before.
it's true. You have the plan now.
Yeah, I have the whole plan.
Yeah. Just leave some for the rest of us.
To nuke? Sure.
Yeah.
I mean, you could nuke something else. I mean, that's what-
Jupiter.
Dibs on
I got
you
to. Yeah.
it, yeah.
Saturn.
One red
I
spot,
guess.
10 red spots.
I'm gonna try to hit the red spot.
It's moon target practice. They got
yeah.
plenty.
Yeah,
They
it's
call it the
fine.
Lord of the Rings. Not anymore. How many moons does Jupiter have? One less and one. I don't actually know. I think it's like 9 or something. I don't actually know. Yeah.
There's
It's
got weird.
Yeah. So
Just
that
now?
is,
Yeah,
guys. What?
I said this got weird.
Oh, it just got weird. Just now.
just
Just
now.
now.
Just
Yeah.
now.
Yeah. Not the tit nukes.
My
nuclear
favorite
tits
kind.
versus nuclear tat.
That's what
My
you call them.
favorite
Yeah.
kind,
Nuclear
because
tits.
it's tit for tat.
Okay.
Wow. All right.
That is the Doomsday Clock in a nutshell. I'm sure there's a lot more to consider than we've covered,
And made fun of.
and made fun of.
Yeah.
We're making fun of these people's job to make sure that the world is getting better and not worse.
Well, no, they're not
their
in charge of
job is-
making
yeah,
it. They're just the
no,
ones
yeah.
that
But
are observing
They're
it.
observing it. But by moving the clock up, it's like a warning. They're basically
And
trying to
clearly
warn
no one
everyone.
is
but I
paying
was gonna
attention.
say
It's clear,
that's-
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I was gonna say that.
They're like,
yeah.
Clock's not real.
Well,
I mean, realistically, that's probably what a lot of people are like. Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. It's like, oh, it's all arbitrary anyway.
Yeah.
Kind of
Yeah.
is. It's
And
like
now people are like, you mean the comic book?
oh yeah,
don't
pretty
know
much.
why you're
yeah.
talking about
yeah, there's
that.
no, yeah, because nothing will trivialize a real threat,
Right.
than for people's frame of reference to be something fictional.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, so the U.S. is building a Death Star. Sure it is. Sure it is. Like, no, really. Like, they're building a Death Star.
I wonder if we could convert
You
the
got
moon
it.
into a Death Star.
Could or did?
Could. I mean, did we? Who knows?
Did we? Yes.
Find out next time. No.
We don't look at the other side of the moon. It's all hollowed out.
It's true.
It's people working on it.
People working on it, yeah, for a long time too. Any last thoughts on the actual Doomsday Clock? See, every time I say it now, I can't help but think of the comic book.
Yep.
Right.
Like, but yeah. Any thoughts?
I feel like it was a poor choice of terminology and stuff like that, because it is such a thing where it's like, even before the comic came out, you hear Doomsday Clock and you're like, that's who
Yeah.
the hell would come up with
Right.
Doomsday Clock? Like,
Yeah.
why?
Yeah.
How would that make sense at all? So I mean,
It was almost a Doomsday U.
yeah, that would,
I don't know
would
how
have been
that,
even
like,
weirder.
But
I attended Doomsday
U
U
just-
for 4 years.
Yeah, it's
It actually starts as a
Yeah, I attended
lowercase
Doomsday
u.
U for 4 years. It's super villain school.
Yeah.
What do you think I came up with my plan to blow up the moon?
yes.
Or I'm
And-
sorry,
and
Mars.
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 Yeah,
Yeah,
Mars.
yeah. That was your doctorate. Your thesis was on
Was on the moon.
why we should nuke. Why we should nuke Mars.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Now you are Dr. Doom. Yeah, from Doomsday University. Yeah.
Doom you.
Yeah.
No, Doom you.
Doom you.
I think it's Doom
Go doom
all
yourself.
of us.
Well, I'm
No?
glad it wasn't a Doom you, because if you like, how do you gauge a Doom?
Well, it's a lowercase.
Doomsday U.
If it
And
goes
then
to
becomes
uppercase-
cursive.
Yeah.
Then Comic Sans.
Oh, see, I was thinking
What if it
just like,
fills in with color?
I don't know. What do you guys think? Tell us in the comment section below if you know anything else about the Doomsday Clock, the actual Doomsday Clock that we do not know, because we've become experts on it by now. And
Pretty much.
yeah. So here we are. What was it? 1 minute and
2/3.
2/3.
was it
100
2/3? Yes,
seconds.
1 minute and 2/3.
So
100
a minute
seconds.
and 40 seconds until we all explode.
Yep.
Yay.
Yay. Thank you for watching this episode of the Mystery Cast, formerly known as the Conspiracy Cast. Again, this is Glorp Andy. Where's regular Andy?
Don't worry about it.
He died long ago.
He wasn't on board with the Mars blowing up thing.
And we have Glorp Dan. Glorp Dan.
Glorp, everybody. You can
Yeah.
find me on Twitter and Instagram at D&D Producer and Twitch at D&D Streamer. I don't know why I started whispering.
It was weird.
I was half expecting you to add another website to that. Like,
I don't share that information.
yeah, please don't.
Find it yourself.
You can find me on Twitter at Film Circuit and Instagram at Northward Films. And Next time we see you, who knows? Maybe the clock will be closer.
I hope so.
I'm hoping farther.
You're like, come on.
Come
The
on.
real question is, are they going to ever swap to digital?
That's a good question.
Find out next time.
Spot the digital. They can't do increments then.
No, it's
be fine.
it's kind of like ours where it's got the
Yeah.
milliseconds.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that
Yeah.
would work. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, thank you. Bye.
See you guys.